Have we reached a point where we don't just experience life anymore? Where we document everything first? From concerts to funerals, from relationships to tragedies, from random conversations to deeply personal moments. It feels like everything is content now. But what happens when the camera is always rolling? And in a world where everyone can broadcast their life, are we slowly forgetting how to actually live it? Well, let's talk about it right now on Andre the Podcast. Good Thursday morning, everybody, and welcome to Andre the Podcast. You're in for a truthful conversation today that might leave you wondering about your future. Of course, I'm Andre Lacey, and this morning we're talking about something that honestly affects almost everybody. Whether you're a content creator, a journalist, a student, a business owner, or just somebody with a phone in your hand every day. Because somewhere along the line, life itself started turning into content. Think about that for a moment. Not moments, not memories, not experiences. Content. And the truth is, some of this has been incredible. Think about it. Social media gave people a voice. It created opportunities. It helped small creators build careers. It exposed injustice. It connected communities across the world. Those are all major pluses that I think many of us can agree on and that we're grateful for. But at the same time, it also changed how we experience life itself. Sometimes, you see, it feels like we're no longer asking, what moment am I living in? Have you ever asked yourself that question? We're asking, how will this look online? I know many of us ask that question. Come on. I know you out there listening right now. You have that angle that you want for your picture, or you want to add that perfect filter that makes your video or your picture look good. You're not alone. My. Honestly, that shift changes more than we realize. So today I want us to slow down and think about this. How social media changed human behavior. How constant documentation affects relationships and identity. The difference between journalism and performance, and that one's key and very important, so listen up. And whether we're losing something important in a world where everything is meant to be seen. Is everything meant to be seen? Well, let's dive in and break that down even further and see where this goes. So, what is life like through a camera lens? That's what's most interesting. There used to be a time when cameras came out for special moments. Many of us know those moments. Birthdays, graduations, vacations, weddings, and the list goes on. Those very key moments that we can pass on to generations to come, and that we can all reflect on, honestly, in the future. But now, the camera is always out. From people recording meals before they eat them, concerts before experiencing them, arguments before resolving them, and random strangers before helping them. Does that make sense to you? How many of you out there have actually recorded meals before eating them or taken a photo? I must admit, personally, I never really understood the idea of taking a picture of a meal each time before you eat it. Now, it's one thing I would say, and this is just my personal opinion, and I'm very careful about what I share as far as opinions. But it's one thing if it's a very special meal or something that you've maybe never had before. But just to take a picture of a meal, just for the sake of taking a picture of a meal to post for people to see, I never really got that. Same with concerts. Now, when you're at a concert, when you're seeing your favorite artist or group or band, you're in the moment. It's exciting and you want to capture the moment, to look back on in the future. But sometimes capturing that moment takes away from the experience. And arguments before resolving them, I must admit, I never got the idea of posting arguments on social media. But then I guess people who might remember, especially back in the 80s, 90s, maybe even a little bit into the early 2000s, may remember that there were people who used to go on daytime talk shows, who used to air out their personal life with the hopes of some form of resolution. And some came and left with resolution, and others just came simply to be on TV. But I never got that. And then random strangers, if a random stranger is in danger, you would hope that you would try to help them or call for emergency services to help them before you're just pulling out your phone to simply record it for a viral moment. So never really got that. One of the biggest cultural shifts, I think, of this generation is that we no longer just live in moments. We curate them. We're always thinking, okay, what can I do to post so that people who follow me can watch? How many of you out there actually do that? You may not think about it in that exact moment, but when you're posting for a reason. You're posting with the hope that somebody's going to see it and possibly react to it or relate to it or like what they see. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Sometimes before they even happen, though, people are thinking about angles again, whether it's captions, clips, algorithms. That's top of people's mind. And let me be clear. I'm not saying that documenting life is wrong. I work in media, so we're always documenting things. I understand storytelling, though, and I also understand the importance of preserving moments. But there is a difference between capturing life and performing life. There is a big difference. And that line has often become very blurry. Sometimes people aren't asking, is this meaningful? They're asking, will this go viral? Whose attention will I catch with this? That's usually what people are thinking about. And quite honestly, that changes behavior. You see, you can even see it during emotional moments now. Think about it. A proposal happens, and people aren't going up to the person and saying, congratulations, or let me look at the ring, or let me just take in this moment. They're like, did you get it on camera? Did you record it? Did you get a picture? Let me see it. That's typically what people are doing. They're trying to immediately check the footage to see what happened. A concert happens, and thousands are watching it through their phone screens instead of through their eyes, their own eyes. That's why many artists today are starting to implement or trying to implement where people put their phones down and truly enjoy the show in the moment instead of always trying to record it. Because it's one thing to record it, to maybe keep as a keepsake for yourself. But let's face it, many people who are recording at concerts, for example, aren't simply just posting it to archive in their own phones to keep as a keepsake. They're doing it with the intentions of what? Posting it on social media. Again, a tragedy happens, and somebody's first instinct is to record it instead of responding. That's unfortunate. Because imagine if it's a family member of yours or someone that you deeply care about and they need help. Wouldn't you want somebody to stop what they're doing and stop in that moment and go help them to make sure that they're okay rather than pulling out their phone and trying to record it for a viral moment possibly? That says a lot, and I do mean a lot, about where culture is right now. Enjoying the show so far? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Alive Podcast Network for just $9.99. The QR code is right here. Now, back to the show. But let's move on. When does real life become performance? Let's dive in. Honestly, social media has trained a lot of us to think of ourselves as brands. And that's quite honestly a strange psychological shift if you really think about it. I'll tell you why. Because now people feel the pressure to monetize their hobbies. Many of us have a hobby or a fun activity that we enjoy doing in our spare time. And rather than simply just enjoying it, people are thinking about what can I do to post that's going to get attention and that'll get me money. The other part is branding their personality. Sound familiar? Packaging their lifestyle. That's what blogs and vlogs are for. People post their personal day-to-day intimate life. And that's cool, giving people a peek at your life. But you don't want to give everything away. And then, of course, constantly staying visible. My. Even authenticity sometimes feels performative online. People film themselves crying. And that's not to say that people aren't sad or who don't go through a bad day or don't feel like that they can post and not feel relatable. But there are some people who do it simply for the idea of they're going to get views and eyes on them and attention in the moment. Filming themselves giving to the homeless. Many of us stumble across that on social media. I know I have. Filming private conversations. And filming deeply personal struggles in real time. Sometimes I wonder, are we sharing moments because they matter or because attention has become emotional currency? Now again, to be fair and to be very clear, not everything shared online is fake. Some creators genuinely help people. Some stories truly inspire others. But at the same time, social media rewards visibility, not always wisdom. You see, the algorithm doesn't always evaluate what's healthiest. It evaluates what people keep watching. And that's why outrage spreads fast. There's a lot of that going around right now. There's something always going on that gets people outraged. Whether it's news, politics, how people live their life. That's honestly what really gets people's attention nowadays, is not what people are doing to help their communities or to do good in the world, but outrage. What's toxic? What's negative in the world? Embarrassment also spreads fast. Many people get embarrassed, and instead of being able to just, say, okay, that happened, we're going to move forward. If someone's nearby and has a phone, they're going to record it 9 times out of 10. And then that moment is forever embedded on the internet. So you can't move on from it. And then, of course, as I just said, drama. My, drama spreads fast. People like to see trashy, messy type of content, things that aren't the average. Well, I guess you could say now it is the average, but what once wasn't the average everyday thing. Drama today is everywhere, and you can't avoid it, unfortunately, as much as many of us might try. Because attention is profitable. And when attention becomes the goal, humanity sometimes gets lost in the process. Now, as somebody in journalism and media, this conversation gets especially important. We're diving into journalism versus clout. Because there is a major difference between documenting truth and exploiting moments. Now, as I've shared before, and I'll probably share many times going forward after this, but journalism is supposed to inform people, to verify, to provide context, and to serve public responsibility. I'll say that again. Journalism is supposed to inform, to verify, to provide context, and to serve the public responsibly. It's so the people shall know. It's not about us. It's about you. But modern internet culture often rewards speed over accuracy and virality over integrity. I'll say it again. Modern internet culture often rewards speed over accuracy and virality over integrity. Think about that. Everybody has a platform now. You see, once upon a time, when you wanted to know something, you either A, had to rely on getting news and information from television news, radio, the newspaper, or maybe from somebody in your neighborhood, like a neighbor or a friend or a relative who may have heard something. But now we have social media where everyone can share information instantly, whether it's true or not. And that's the scary part. And while that democratized information in many ways, it's also blurred the line between reporting, reacting, influencing, and performing. You see, sometimes people are less interested in understanding stories and more interested in becoming part of them. You can see it during breaking news situations. People rush to post before facts are confirmed. People clip moments out of context. People chase emotional reactions before understanding nuisance. And honestly, trust becomes harder when everything feels like a performance. That's why credibility matters so much now, more than ever. Not perfection, not popularity, but credibility. In a world filled with noise, people are searching for voices they can trust. And trust takes time to build, but seconds to lose. Join the conversation. Have a story idea, topic, or guest you want featured on Andre the Podcast? Send us a message. We look forward to hearing from you. The pressure to always be on. Another thing social media changed is the idea that we always have to be available. Always posting, always updating, always reacting, always visible. And I get it. People disappear from social media for a week, and others will immediately ask, "Are you okay?" I can't tell you how many times I've been asked that question. When I disappear from social media, people are like, "What's going on?" It's like, you can't take a break and focus on you and not focus on social media. Social media now, especially for me, is work. So 9 times out of 10, when you see me on social media, it's for work. So, and when I'm not, I'm typically just resting. So, honestly, that says a lot about how we've normalized constant visibility, though. Rest now looks suspicious online. You can't just take a day to relax and spend time with yourself or spend time with people that you love or who are in your circle in the moment if you're not doing it with social media. Privacy almost feels unusual, but not every moment needs an audience. Some conversations should stay personal. Some healing should stay private. Some growth should happen off camera. And I think one of the healthiest things people can learn from this is you do not owe the internet constant access to your life. Everything meaningful does not require documentation. You see, sometimes the best moments are the ones nobody else sees. I know that can be hard because it's like, well, what if this person relates to this moment? Or what if this moment stands out and people have never seen something like this before? Well, that's okay. It's not for everybody to be able to relate to or to see. Now, from a spiritual aspect, I think this conversation matters even more because constant noise makes reflection harder. I can't tell you how many times I found myself just in the moment, just sitting still and thinking. If I was always on social media, I don't think I would do that. Who's to say my spiritual identity would even be where it is now? Stillness is becoming rare. Solitude is also becoming rare. People are consuming content all day long, but rarely sit alone with their own thoughts. Some of the best ideas come from sitting alone in your thoughts. Spiritual breakthroughs, mental rest, physical rest, all of it comes from sitting in solitude and being still. Honestly, silence can reveal a lot about us, who we are as people. Who are you when there is no audience? Who are you when nobody's validating you? Who are you when the phone is down and life gets quiet? There's a scripture that says, "Be still and know that I am God." That's from Psalm 46, verse 10. Chapter 46, verse 10 of Psalms. And that verse hits differently in a culture built on constant simulation. Because you see, stillness requires presence. And presence is something many people are losing. We're distracted constantly. We're scrolling constantly. We're comparing constantly. And sometimes, people can accidentally start building identity around visibility. Do you know how scary that is? You build your life and what you do around visibility, what other people see and think. But your value is bigger than engagement, bigger than numbers, bigger than algorithms. The internet may reward performance, but real life requires substance. It truly does. At the end of the day, Technology itself is not the enemy. Phones aren't evil. Social media isn't automatically bad. Content creation isn't wrong. There are amazing content creators doing meaningful work every day. But I do think this generation has to learn balance again. Because if we're not careful, we can learn something that may not think about. We can become so focused on recording life that we forget to fully experience it. Some moments should simply belong to you. Not timelines. Let me say it again. Some moments should simply belong to you. Some moments should simply belong to you. Not the timeline, not the algorithm, not the strangers online. Just you. You. Just you. And maybe one of the most powerful things somebody can do in this era is learn how to be fully present again. So let that be the takeaway from today's conversation. Learn how to be present again. Learn how to enjoy just you. Thank you so much for listening to today's Andre the Podcast. If this conversation made you think, definitely share this episode with somebody. You never know who it might resonate with. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and here to the Alive Podcast Network for just $9.99. Leave a review and, of course, join the conversation. And by the way, in case you didn't know, you can now watch full episodes and clips of our show over on the Andre the Podcast YouTube channel. And follow along with us on social media for more conversations surrounding a variety of topics, including culture, media, faith, and society. Subscribe today. And of course, we thank you. So until next time, take care of yourselves, stay thoughtful, stay present, and we'll see you next time. God bless you and be encouraged.